What if I told you that the end of the world has already been written, down to the last terrifying detail? Picture this: the sky splitting open, stars crashing to earth like blazing fireballs, oceans turning into blood, and monstrous beings rising from the abyss to judge the living and the dead. Sounds like a scene from a dystopian movie, right? But it's all described in chilling precision in the final book of the Bible, Revelation. To some, it's just poetic symbolism, but to others, it's the most disturbing and precise prophecy ever documented. And the scariest part, many believe the end isn't coming. It's already begun, hidden in plain sight, unfolding quietly through disasters, wars, and global unrest. Are you ready to uncover how the world might actually end? If you're into mysteries like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We dig into everything no one ever told you. It was around the year 95 AD, and on a rocky island called Patmos, that an exiled man named John claimed to have received visions that would shake the foundation of human history. Alone, persecuted, and nearing the end of his life, John wrote what he saw. Visions so intense, so bizarre, that they would become the most feared and debated passages in the entire Bible. The Book of Revelation, or as many call it, the Apocalypse. Unlike the other books in the Bible, Revelation isn't a narrative or a set of teachings. It's a coded message filled with strange symbols, terrifying beasts, mysterious numbers, and surreal events. A dragon with 7 heads, a woman clothed with the sun, a scroll that no one could open, and somewhere within all this chaos, the prophecy of how the world as we know it will end. For centuries, scholars, priests, mystics, and even conspiracy theorists have tried to decipher its meaning. Is it a metaphor for ancient Rome's downfall, a warning against moral decay, or a literal roadmap for the final days of humanity? The lines between symbolism and reality blur quickly in Revelation. One verse might describe a monstrous creature rising from the sea, and the next might hint at war, famine, or natural disasters, things we see every day, which raises a disturbing question. Is Revelation just a warning, or is it a countdown? Throughout history, different generations have believed they were living in the end times. The Black Death, the world wars, nuclear threats, climate collapse. Each wave of global fear brings new interpretations, each one darker than the last. But here's the thing no one likes to admit. Revelation doesn't start with the end. It starts with a slow unraveling, a silent preparation, as if something or someone is setting the stage for the final act. And the more you read it, the more it feels like that act is already in motion. It begins with the breaking of the first 4 seals. John describes a scroll held by God, sealed with 7 mysterious seals. As each one is broken, a vision is unleashed, and the first 4 seals, they release what have become the most iconic and terrifying symbols of the end. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse: a white horse, a red horse, a black horse, a pale horse. Each rider represents a force capable of collapsing civilizations, conquest, war, famine, and death. They're not just riders, they're metaphors for unstoppable global shifts. And here's where things get chilling. Many theologians and historians believe these forces aren't future threats, but ongoing realities. The rider on the white horse carries a bow and wears a crown. Some say he represents Christ. Others argue he is the Antichrist, riding under the illusion of peace, but bringing conquest. Could this be a symbol for deceptive leadership, propaganda, or empire building? Next comes the red horse, bringing war. A great sword in hand, its rider strips peace from the earth. The 20th century alone saw over 100 million deaths due to war. Could this horseman already be galloping among us? The third horse, black as night, brings famine, but not just hunger. It represents economic imbalance. John describes scales in the rider's hand and warns of inflated prices for basic goods. Think of global food crises, inflation spikes, or countries where bread costs a day's wages. Sound familiar? And finally, the pale horse. Its rider's name is Death. And following close behind is Hades, disease, decay, natural disaster. This horse doesn't just ride, it sweeps, quietly, relentlessly. Many believe these horsemen represent not the future, but patterns. Patterns that repeat through history. Patterns that might be reaching their peak. Because if these riders are allegories for humanity's worst cycles, then maybe the apocalypse isn't coming with thunder and fire. Maybe we're already in it. After the four horsemen, the remaining seals are broken, and each one unlocks a new layer of dread. The fifth seal reveals the souls of the martyrs, those who died for their beliefs, crying out for justice beneath the altar of God. They are told to wait. Why? Because more must die. More must suffer. It's a chilling image. Even the righteous, even the faithful are told that suffering is not yet complete. Then comes the sixth seal, and with it the earth trembles. A great earthquake. The sun turns black like sackcloth. The moon becomes blood. Stars fall from the sky, and the heavens recede like a scroll being rolled up. Every mountain and island is moved from its place. This is not poetic language. It's catastrophe, described with terrifying clarity. And what's truly unsettling? Events like these are not unheard of. Solar eclipses, blood moons, meteor showers, earthquakes that shift tectonic plates. It's enough to make you wonder, are these natural events or warnings? But the most mysterious of all is the seventh seal. When it's opened, silence. Complete silence in heaven for half an hour. No thunder, no angels, just a pause, as if the universe itself is holding its breath. That silence, according to many scholars, marks a turning point, a moment of suspense before something even more devastating begins. Because after the seventh seal come the seven trumpets, and each one unleashes a new nightmare. The silence ends with a sound, sharp, echoing, final. Seven angels prepare to blow seven trumpets, and with each trumpet blast, a new catastrophe falls upon the earth. These aren't simple signs. They are plagues, judgments, cosmic warnings dressed as destruction. The first trumpet sounds, and hail mixed with fire rains down, burning a third of the earth, a third of the trees, and all the green grass. Imagine that. A world suddenly stripped of its greenery, suffocated by flames. The second trumpet, something like a huge mountain, all ablaze, crashes into the sea. 1/3 of the oceans turn to blood. Sea creatures die. Ships are destroyed. Some believe this could represent an asteroid or nuclear strike. Others, massive underwater volcanic eruptions. But whatever it is, it's devastating. The third trumpet poisons the rivers. A great star called wormwood falls from the sky, turning fresh water bitter and killing many. Radiation, chemical warfare, a metaphor for environmental collapse. The interpretations are endless, and each more terrifying than the last. Then, with the fourth trumpet, the sun, moon, and stars are struck. Light is dimmed, darkness spreads, and for the first time, it feels like hope itself is being erased from the sky. But it's the fifth and sixth trumpets that push Revelation into nightmare territory. Locusts emerge from smoke rising out of the abyss, strange, armored creatures with faces like humans, teeth like lions, wings that roar like chariots, and tails like scorpions. They don't kill, they torture. For 5 months they bring agony so great people will seek death and not find it. The sixth trumpet unleashes 4 fallen angels and a terrifying army, 200 million strong. A third of humanity perishes. Fire, smoke, sulfur, images that echo modern warfare, chemical weapons, even apocalypse-level pandemics. But it's the reaction of the survivors that is perhaps most haunting. They still refuse to change. They continue in violence, greed, and idolatry, as if destruction isn't enough, as if even the end of the world can't wake us up. Rising from the sea, it has 10 horns and 7 heads. It speaks blasphemies and receives power from the dragon. Satan himself. The world watches in awe, and they follow it. This beast isn't just a monster, it's a system, a symbol of global control, corruption, and manipulation. It wages war against the saints and is given authority over every tribe, people, language, and nation. Some say the beast represents a future dictator, a literal Antichrist. Others believe it's a metaphor for empires, institutions, or even technology that seeks to replace faith with control. But the true fear lies in what follows. The second beast. It rises from the earth, looking innocent, like a lamb, but it speaks like a dragon. It performs miracles, deceives the masses, and forces humanity to worship the first beast. And then it introduces the mark, a mysterious symbol, 666. People must receive this mark on their right hand or forehead. Without it, they can't buy or sell. They're excluded from the system, cut off, isolated. It sounds like science fiction, but it raises unsettling questions. What is this mark? A chip, a biometric ID, a digital currency tied to a global authority? The number 666 has obsessed generations. Some link it to Emperor Nero, using ancient numerology. Others say it's a code, a warning hidden in plain sight. And here's the disturbing part. We already live in a world where technology tracks purchases, movement, identity, where entire populations can be restricted with a flick of a switch. So, is the mark of the beast still coming, or are we just a few steps away? As the visions escalate, the world stands on the edge of collapse. And then, the final war begins. The place is called Armageddon. It's more than just a battlefield. It's a symbol of ultimate confrontation. Forces of good and evil gather. The beast, the false prophet, and the kings of the earth unite to fight against the returning Christ. He doesn't come quietly. Riding a white horse, eyes blazing like fire, crowned with many crowns, he carries a sharp sword from his mouth, symbolizing truth and judgment. He doesn't plead, he conquers. The beast is captured, the false prophet too. Both are thrown alive into a lake of fire. The armies are destroyed, not by weapons, but by the sheer power of divine justice. And then comes the judgment. The dead rise, the books are opened. Each person is judged according to their deeds. No more masks, no more secrets. Everything laid bare. The sea gives up its dead. Death and Hades themselves are thrown into the lake of fire. This is called the second death, but not everyone is condemned. A new book is opened, the book of life. Those whose names are found in it are spared, brought into something extraordinary. A new beginning, because after the fire, after the pain, after all the chaos, something incredible happens. John describes a new heaven and a new earth. No more death, no more pain, no more crying. The old world has passed away, and from the ashes a radiant city descends, New Jerusalem. God dwells with humanity again. It's not just a rescue, it's a restoration. But it comes at a cost, the total collapse of everything we once knew. Elias, if stories like this captivate you as much as they do us, these ancient visions, chilling warnings, and cosmic battles, don't forget to like the video and drop a comment sharing what shocked you the most so far. We love hearing your thoughts on these mysteries, so now we ask, was it just a vision, a poetic warning, or something far more real than we're willing to admit? Because when you compare the imagery of Revelation with today's world, the lines begin to blur. We live in an era of global instability. Wars erupt without warning. Famine and drought strike even the most fertile lands. Economic systems wobble. Artificial intelligence makes decisions humans once held sacred. Satellites watch our every move, and trust in leaders, in truth, in each other disappears like smoke. Could it be that the beast is not a person, but a system we built? That the mark is not a symbol, but a surrender of freedom we've already begun to accept? Even scientists, often skeptical of religion, have warned that our civilization is heading toward collapse. Environmentally, economically, socially, not with one single blow, but through a slow and quiet decay. A dying that looks a lot like the beginning of the end. And then there's the silence, that seventh seal, that moment where heaven holds its breath. Maybe that's where we are now. Not in the fire, not in the final war, but in the stillness before the storm. A pause, a final chance. Because here's the deepest truth Revelation reveals. The apocalypse isn't just destruction, it's exposure. It tears away illusions. It shows who we really are when everything else is gone. And maybe the world doesn't need to explode for the apocalypse to arrive. Maybe it just needs to be exposed. Maybe the end of the world is when we finally see it for what it's become. Remember how this started, with visions of fire, monsters, and a sky torn in two, with warnings written in ancient scrolls and horsemen galloping across the earth. But now, after everything, maybe the most terrifying part isn't what Revelation describes. It's how much of it already feels familiar. Because what if the end of the world isn't a sudden explosion, but a slow unraveling we've ignored for centuries? What if the apocalypse isn't coming in the future, but is already happening around us, one silent seal at a time? And what if the real question isn't when the world will end, but who we are becoming before it does? In the end, Revelation leaves us with two possibilities: destruction or renewal, judgment or redemption, the end of everything, or the beginning of something greater. You decide what it means. If you enjoyed this journey into one of the Bible's most mysterious prophecies, don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment sharing the moment that shocked you most. See you in the next mystery.